Well, welcome everyone. We are so glad you joined us to learn about Aurora Expeditions and their fantastic product that goes down to Antarctica. I'm Suzanne Clausen, and today I am joined by Steve Clausen of CruiseOne. If you can say hello, Steve.
Good evening.
And then we've got Samantha with Aurora Expeditions.
Hi, everyone.
So we'll just dive right into this. So our presentation tonight, we're going to just talk a second about our agency. We're going to talk about the Aurora Expedition experience. We're going to share a couple of highlights of our past expedition with Aurora, and then we're going to talk about our exclusive discount pricing, because that is the best part about this whole presentation. So if you're new to our agency, found us through our advertising for this event, we are so excited that you found us, and we do these events so that we can share with people who are interested in doing things like these exciting expeditions, what a wonderful product Aurora is, and what our great pricing is that we've negotiated for you for the Antarctica for 2027. Just quick advantages of working with my agency. We're a super proactive travel agency, and we're easy to work with. You can phone, text us, email us. We are there to help you, and we are very customer focused and service oriented. So now we're going to talk about an expedition cruise. So some of you might not know what an expedition cruise is. And of course, a lot of us have done traditional cruises. We have thousands of fellow guests, big ships, very little time in your destination. You're kind of there for the floating tropical resort. And you have fun events like gala nights, informal nights, and evening chic, whatever they're calling it. And if you're in a remote destination like Antarctica, those big ships only do scenic sailing. So you just kind of sail through the area and see the beautiful scenery. An expedition cruise is going to have 120 or fewer guests. It's on a purpose-built modern ice-breaking ship. And it is complete immersion in your destination. That is the sole focus, and you don't have any of those crazy goings on the ship to distract you from that amazing destination that you've traveled very far to go see. And the focus again is on the wildlife and the beauty. Now, we've been to Antarctica twice before. We loved it. We took a large group down in 2023. They had an amazing time, but it was a scenic sailing only trip. And so many of the people in that group said, Suzanne, when are you going to put together something where we can go to Antarctica and walk around on the continent and really, really explore the continent in depth, not just spend 2 days doing a scenic sailing. So we've put together this pricing for 2027, and we're also escorting a group in 2026 in February. So we're very excited that you've come to learn it. Just to tell you really quick about our transition, this is Steve and I on a typical cruise. We're all dressed up. We're having a good time. We were supposed to go to Svalbard on a large ship in 2023, and Norway put the kibosh on the large ships, and they said no more large ships in Svalbard. So we reached out to Aurora, and they said, well, yeah, we've got a cruise that's all it's doing is Svalbard. And we're like, we are in. So we took that cruise. We took the plunge head first. We had an amazing time. Since that time, we still do traditional cruises, but we have done so many different expedition cruises. And I almost feel a little sad when I'm on a big ship and I see something like a glacier or a beautiful destination, and we're not getting in zodiacs and riding around in that destination. It's a little disappointing. So who can do an expedition cruise? Well, I like to say that if you can play a round of golf or maybe shop till you drop on Black Friday, you can do an expedition cruise. You need to be mobile, be able to climb stairs, climb in and out of the zodiacs freely, but you don't need to be extremely fit, because all of the walks and the activities that you do on shore you can choose the level of fitness that fits your level of fitness the best. And the zodiac rides simply require you to be able to climb assisted in and out of the zodiac, so up and down, and then be able to sit for an extended period of time in the zodiac and enjoy all the beautiful scenery that you see around you. So I've got a little teaser video that I'm going to show you to kind of give you an idea of what Aurora Expeditions is all about. hope that video got you excited. So in 2027, we have taken out a group allocation on 2 sailings. Excuse me just a second. We have the Greg Mortimer ship. It is doing the 12 night across the Antarctic Circle. So the ship sails down south of the Antarctic Circle, and that is a round trip Ushuaia, Argentina expedition. And then on March 9th, we have special pricing for the Douglas Mawson ship. That is a brand new ship. It is the very extensive 20-night South Georgia, Falklands, and Antarctic Odyssey. And again, that's round trip from Ushuaia. So we're going to go into that a little bit more. I'm going to tell you why we chose Aurora Expeditions to be our preferred Antarctica supplier. First of all, they are experts at destination immersion. Their smaller capacity means that you spend more time on your or in your destination. You don't have to do staggered landings. Everybody can be on and off the ship all at the same time. They have been very wonderful in us to give us exclusive contracted group savings. So we have tremendous savings that we were able to offer exclusively to our clients. And again, we're going to go into it in more detail, but they are known for their environmental stewardship and for being protectors of the environment. And also, we had just an incredible experience with them in the Arctic in 2023. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Sam, and she's going to go through a couple of slides where she's going to tell you a little bit more about what makes Aurora Expeditions so special. So take it away, Sam.
Well, okay. Are you going to be able to advance the slides for me, Suzanne?
Yes, I will, and I'll try to judge where you are in going over what the content of each slide is. Okay, so
Okay,
we'll go.
fantastic. So, Aurora Expeditions has been around since 1991, and although we're new to the North American market, we are certainly not new to expedition. We were founded by an Australian adventurer. His name is Greg Mortimer, and the ship is named after him. We've since built 2 additional ships. So all 3 of our ships are purpose-built for polar exploration, which is really important when you're exploring these very, very remote destinations. That experience matters, that technology matters, and as Suzanne clearly explained, being able to get off the ship, all guests at the same time and within 30 minutes upon arrival into each area. Next slide, please. We are B Corp certified, and what that speaks to is not only being environmentally conscious, but also socially responsible. So, this is a 3-year certification process, and we have to renew this certification every 3rd year as well. So, in addition to being completely carbon neutral and eliminating single-use plastics, we are also investing socially, so investing in education and giving back to the communities that we visit. Next slide. Citizen science is offered on board all of our ships, and this is a great way for our guests to participate with our onboard experts gathering data. This data is aggregated and shared with the larger scientific community, and it's a great way to develop a deeper understanding of what you're seeing and experiencing each day in these incredible destinations. This is showing one of our citizen science projects. Suzanne, can you speak to what experiment this might have been?
So they are looking for microplastics in the sand, and that is a very important study because they're trying to understand the worldwide distribution of microplastics. And so they're taking soil samples and then bringing it back on the ship and evaluating the plastics content.
Perfect, thank you. Next slide. As far as included activities, this is going to be what you would generally expect from an expedition partner. But for those of you that are new to expeditions, we use our Zodiacs not only as a mode of transportation for wet landings and things of that nature, but also one of our more relaxed and scenic forms of exploration. So, as Suzanne mentioned, you head down a few steps to the mudroom, get geared up, which is part of the excitement. And then you'll take 2 steps down into the Zodiac, sit and slide, and then you have a front row seat to not only all of the incredible ice, but of course the wildlife as well. We do scenic walks and hikes, and these are offered on varying fitness levels, right? So there is often a photography hike, which is led by our resident photographer on board. It's going to take a much slower pace. There's going to be very little elevation gain, and it's going to allow you to linger longer and capture those incredible shots. Then we'll do something a little bit more moderate, and for those that would like to challenge themselves, we often offer longer hikes and walks as well. So I already mentioned that we do have a resident photographer on board all of the expeditions. They're there to work with you to really, hone your skills and capture these incredible memories through the lens. They also can speak to smartphone photography, as many of us are traveling just with our smartphones. They're also capturing the experience, and they put together a really wonderful keepsake, a voyage log that all guests receive following the voyage. We have our expert lectures every evening and throughout the trip so that you really do come away with a greater understanding of what you've seen and experienced along the way. I just had my very first opportunity to do the polar plunge up in Svalbard, and I can say that while it was a little nerve-wracking going in, it was incredibly invigorating, and I highly recommend it if the opportunity presents itself, which it always does on every voyage, conditions permitting. Bird watching is another very popular experience. We have ornithologists on board. We highly recommend packing your binoculars as well. And then great historical and cultural sites are woven throughout all of our itineraries. And of course, we already spoke to the Citizen Science Project. Now, optional activities. This is an area where Aurora really sets themselves apart from other expedition partners. So if you would like to, take your kayaking skills to another level, consider adding kayaking to your Antarctic expedition. You will be paired up with a group of typically no more than 14 other kayakers. You are led by guides. You're outfitted in the appropriate gear. Not that you're gonna be in the water, but just in case, we do certainly make sure you're protected. And of course, you're always with that expert guide as well. Some very unique activities in the polar regions that are not offered by really any other partners would be scuba diving as well as snorkeling. So for scuba diving, there is advanced certification required, but for snorkeling, you simply have to have the interest and a little bit of past experience, at least know how to work your snorkel and your mask. However, we do provide all the gear for that as well. Camping on the ice is very, very popular in Antarctica. And then for those that may not have as much experience with kayaking, we also offer paddling, which is basically just a step down from the full kayaking experience. It's a little bit easier, they're a little bit more stable. So that's a great option as well.
And I just wanted to add, it depends on the time of year when you're going.
So
The
true.
camping, the ski touring, the snowshoeing, that's always offered early in the season because that is when there is that most snow present. Later in the season, it's going to be more the hiking and the kayaking and the snorkeling that would be offered during the two specials that we have. But we absolutely can book you in a early season desk itinerary as well. Here's just another quick picture of that kayak gear. They do fit you to the kayak for the whole trip. And then we have some pictures. There's our friend Bonnie, who also works for Aurora Expeditions, doing her kayaking. And then we've got some shots of some people I think those people are snowshoeing. I don't think they're hiking.
Yeah.
Of course, in the late February, early March time, there's not going to be as much snow. So your hiking is going to be a little bit easier because it'll be over more of the ground, but there will be some snow. And I love this shot, the people snorkeling. And the snorkelers are really like the VIPs of the ship. They get up and do their Zodiac ride, get to go ashore first. And then they suit up in their snorkel gear and are taken to another area where they can do their snorkeling. And it's a really unique experience because there's a whole nother world underneath that water that you wouldn't expect. There's probably more life under the water than there is above the water in Antarctica. So really fascinating things to see. And then Sam, if you want to talk about your expert guides on board.
Absolutely. So we have one of the highest staff to guest ratios in the expedition space. So it's 1 to 7, one expert guide to 7 guests on board all of our expeditions. And these folks are incredibly knowledgeable and passionate, and they come from varying backgrounds. So you heard me mention ornithologists earlier. We have marine biologists, glaciologists, all sorts of different experts that, as I said, they're really there to help you deepen your understanding of what you're seeing and doing. The guides also not only are leading the experiences off the ship, but you'll have an opportunity to interact with them at meals. You can have one-on-one conversations, whether it be with the photography expert or with the marine biologists and anyone in between. One thing I do like to point out is it is a lovely, diverse group of people that come from, different countries, all English speaking, of course, and also 47% of our expedition team are female. So, speaking to the ships, the Greg Mortimer is our flagship, of course, named after our founder. And the Sylvia Earle is named after Dr. Sylvia Earle, who is a well-known marine biologist and oceanographer who I just had the pleasure of traveling with. And the third ship is the Douglas Mawson. So the Douglas Mawson will be completed later this year and have its maiden voyage in Tasmania in November. All 3 ships are they feature standard amenities, so you don't have to worry if you choose one ship over the other that you'll be missing out. You'll have the jacuzzis and the saunas and all the creature comforts that you're looking for, as well as that ice class capability to get you safely to and from these remote destinations, Antarctica. And then in speaking to the regulations in Antarctica, at any given time, we cannot have more than 100 passengers, including our staff, on the ice. And so, what Suzanne was speaking to earlier with regard to the larger ship capacities creating a different experience, for us, because we have that robust activity program, all 130 guests are able to be off the ship, out and exploring at the same time. So you don't have to worry that if conditions change, you might not have an opportunity to step on that ice for the first time and really have that experience that you've probably been dreaming of if you're considering this trip.
So
So the
this is, yeah, I was going to say, this is the section where we show the different parts of the ship and some of the staterooms. And these are, we're going to feature the Greg Mortimer here, which is the featured ship for one of the special ones that we have the group allocation on. So if you want to just speak about the Greg Mortimer.
Yeah, absolutely. So this ship was built in 2019, and as it states here, the average guest capacity is 100. It can comfortably hold 130, but it is 100 on average in the polar regions, both Arctic and Antarctica. Some of the features that I mentioned previously, so the jacuzzis and the saunas, you can enjoy those, as well as massage treatment rooms. There's 2 restaurants or 2 dining experiences on board. There's also 2 viewing platforms that open out from the side so that you're able to step out and have that bird's eye view, as well as you can see at the bow of the ship, there's a lovely viewing platform all the way at the top. So some great common areas to explore even while you're on your at sea days. When we encounter wildlife, we will stop the ship and observe. You'll hear from those experts what behaviors we're seeing and what specific species we're looking at. So really wonderful that these ships have all been purpose built for the polar regions, and they do all also feature the X bow. So you notice that unique design. And this was designed so that in rough seas, rather than a V-shaped hole, which will go up on the wave and then drop back down, which doesn't help for those that are prone to seasickness, with the X bow, the ship sits lower and slices through the base of the wave. It reduces the resistance, so it also increases efficiency getting across the Drake Passage, and it creates an overall smoother, more comfortable ride for our guests.
Speaking of comfortable, look at these staterooms. This you guys have come a long way from that original Russian icebreaker that you used to have that people loved. But this is the staterooms. This is a standard stateroom on these ships. They're beautifully appointed, very comfortable.
Also, great storage. I have found I was sharing a cabin with a dear friend of mine. There's plenty of room to store all of your gear. Your luggage goes under your bed once you've unpacked. I know the next slide is going to show the very cozy floor warmers, which is a great way to dry your gear after a full day of exploring. It's also just very comfortable when you get back from being out there in the chilly weather.
And here's that beautiful presentation lounge where all the lectures are presented. You can just see the colors are beautiful. Everything is just, it feels like the earth and the ocean interior as well as out. It's really quite beautiful. And the library. This is one of my favorite parts because all of those books that you see are these wonderful picture books that tell the stories of the explorers of the world. And there's also bird books and whale books and all that kind of stuff. So if you saw something you that was of interest to you in the morning, you go up to the library and find a book on it and read more about it. It's really an amazing place to hang out. Um, Also, the gym. Now, I like to do my walking ashore and get all my exercise there. But if somebody really wants to stay fit, they have a fully appointed gym, and there's even a sauna up there. So if you come back and you're feeling frigid, you can go in the sauna and warm up. And then, Sam, if you want to talk about the mudroom, what makes this so unique?
Yeah, so the mudroom is where we gear up every day. So you will receive your 3-in-1 jacket as part of your expedition fare, and then you'll be fitted for your life jacket and your muck boots. And so every day when it's time to head out, you'll be called down from either starboard or port side to gear up and then embark your Zodiacs. It is a very efficient space, and it really is kind of the heart and soul of any expedition ship because it's where we find the most enthusiasm and anticipation from our clients, just getting
Yeah.
ready to get out there and see it and do it all.
And we've been on a lot of expedition ships in the last couple of years, and this is definitely the most efficiently designed because it was purpose built. It's not some weird area that was repurposed as a mudroom. It was built, and literally you step right out of the red mudroom into the area where you board the Zodiac. So it's very convenient. And speaking of Zodiacs, there's a wonderful storage area on the back, low on the ship. So sometimes ships that are repurposed will have the Zodiac stored up top, and it takes a lot longer to get those Zodiacs in the water than these that are just right here by the surface. They go out very quickly. And then the ship also has this wonderful platform for getting on and off the kayaks if you're doing the kayak program. So again, everything being purpose built, it's super efficient to get in and out of your activities on this ship because it is purpose built. Um, and this is as close as you get to formal night on on an Aurora expedition ship. Everybody's in their expedition gear, enjoying their barbecue. It's a wonderful experience, and people of all ages. You really make friends because with such a small group of people, and there's really an encouragement to dine with other people, meet other people, talk with your fellow guests, and of course, if you get some libations, which are complimentary with meals, of course, the conversation is going to flow.
Absolutely.
So if you want to just summarize some of the things that, well, I'll do it. I know this stuff like the back of my hand. I've been working with Aurora for so long. So again, they have that positive impact on travel. The small ships, they're purpose built exactly for what they are being used to do. Nothing was repurposed. They're built that way. Again, the education and enrichment, you're going to come away learning so much more about the world after doing one of these. Again, you have that more time off the ship because of the low number of people. They have that amazing activity program. And again, it depends on the time of year that you're visiting destination and your actual destination and their expert guides. I mean, I just think of all the words of wisdom that I learned. So we're going to talk about Antarctica and what the different parts of it are. So I'll go ahead and talk about this because I've been to Antarctica, although I haven't gotten off the ship because I just did scenic sailings. So the areas that you're seeing here, this is the southern tip of Argentina where you have Ushuaia. And the Falkland Islands are just off of the coast of Argentina. That is a great place to see penguins as well. And then there's the South Georgia Islands. Again, another place where penguins come ashore and mate. And then we have the Antarctic Peninsula and the little islands that go around here. Now, this is the area that I've been, is sort of this area right in here. And then if you're doing one of those expeditions that goes south of the Antarctic Circle, you go along the west side of the Antarctic Peninsula, and you're going to cross the Antarctic Circle there. So many different things to see in each of those parts of the Antarctica. Different types of penguins, Adele penguins, chinstrap penguins. There's different kinds of seals and, all kinds of seabirds. And the whale life, if you are going in one of these March or end of February cruises, that is when the whales are the most active, and you're going to see a lot of great activity from those whales, and hopefully see all three kinds of whales, and sometimes you'll even see some dolphins or porpoises that live in that space as well. And then the Arctic krill is the microscopic animals that live there too, and you get to see them as part of a citizen science program. Sometimes you'll take a scoop of water and go into the biology lab and look in the microscopes at some of these animals. If you're going to South Georgia or some of those surrounding islands, that is a great place to see penguins, but you also see them on the mainland and the peninsula part of Antarctica. And again, the fur seals, this is in the Deception Island area of Antarctica, just absolutely adorable little critters and so much fun to watch. And then the scenery is kind of the other reason you go to Antarctica. You have these very, very dramatic days of scenery, icebergs, glaciers. It's just stunning to see. And here's a look at a typical landing site of a Zodiac. You kind of pull up onto the edge, and then you step off the front and right onto the shore. Sometimes it might be a wet landing. You might be stepping off in an inch or two of water. But you've got those muck boots, and they do suggest that you bring a pair of waterproof pants, and that it just kind of helps with those wet landings and maybe the splash of the Zodiac so that you're not getting wet. Here's just a look at some of the sea ice that you might see, and the polar class ships can go through first-year sea ice. So this very thin sea ice like this, they can sail right into that if it's present, and sometimes give you a really amazing experience on that sea ice. So now we're going to talk about what Aurora includes. So you're included extras. They, for most of their expeditions, they are including a pre-voyage accommodation in the city from which you embark the ship. They include your airport transfers, and usually they include on embarkation day a nice sightseeing tour of your city. So if it's Ushuaia, they have a Beagle Channel cruise where you go out and see this sea lion island and some things like that. Now, some things that are extras, included extras. So you don't pay any more for these. These are included extras. So you've got your shore excursions on your Zodiacs, all included. Your house drinks with dinner. So that's beer and wine with dinner. They do have a couple of cocktail parties where you can get a cocktail of the day at no charge. They've got Starlink Wi-Fi, which is great because if you need to keep in touch or keep running your business like we do when we're traveling, the Wi-Fi is fantastic, even in the remote parts of the world. You've got your 3-in-1 waterproof expedition jacket, so you don't have to pack a jacket. They're going to give you a jacket that's got a liner and a waterproof exterior that you can wear. You get the muck boots. You don't have to pay to rent them. You just tell them what size, and they've got them there waiting for you. And again, they have a professional photographer on every voyage. And then, of course, you don't have to pay for any permits or landing fees. It's all included in the price of your cruise. So now, I don't know, Steve, if you want to join in on any of these slides, but we're going to show you just our quick, what makes Aurora so special. And this was our Arctic expedition. So it's not it's not Antarctica. It's in Svalbard, which is up north of Norway and north of Greenland and Iceland. It's pretty remote, but they have the most wonderful expeditions there. And we did one that was called Svalbard in Depth. And I have these pictures. These are pictures I took on that cruise. You can see whether it's a foggy day or a beautiful sunny day, you get the most amazing pictures and see the most amazing sights. And Aurora really takes the time to make sure that you really get that full feeling of the destination. Spectacular sceneries. And this is the
Take
kind
the
of thing we
foggy
had.
days.
Yeah, you like the foggy days. The sunny days were beautiful too. And this is a day where the Zodiacs and the kayakers were all going out in the same area to see some of the most interesting sights. And then the birds, the ornithologist will tell you all about the birds. They're guillemots up in the Arctic, but it'll be penguins in the Antarctic. And then this is our experience up on the sea ice. These are walruses that are hauled out, but we will see seals and fur seals and all those kind of wonderful animals hauled out on the ice in the Antarctic region. And again, that whale experience. We saw blue whales and beluga whales up in the Arctic, but I know that we'll have an opportunity to see orcas and minke whales and humpback whales, and perhaps even more species when we're in the Antarctic. And I too was crazy enough to do a polar plunge. So I've got to do one in Antarctica, and then I'll be officially bipolar. I recommend wearing a life jacket because you don't go into the water as far if you have a life jacket on. You just pop right up and then you can get out of the water. So that is my little tip for doing a polar plunge, is wear a life jacket. And then they do have, this is their gala that they have. They do have a barbecue. Ours was at the polar ice cap. They have this in Antarctica. They have these. Do they still do the crazy party hat, Sam?
We do. Yes, you can count
Okay.
on that.
And that barbecue, it was delicious. And they had glue wine, which is the hot German wine. It was an amazing experience. But no matter where you on the ship, the food is amazing. And the service, it was like the service you get on the luxury cruise ship. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. All kinds of special desserts, fresh food, very attentive, personalized. And most of the people who work on the Aurora ships have experience working with some of the bigger lines, and choose to do that because they want to provide something that's more personalized. And look at these beautiful presentations of food. You will not go hungry. Breakfast and lunch is a buffet with a variety of food, but dinner is sit down with tablecloths and great gourmet foods. And then I had this little video because I wanted people to see what it looks like to get in and out of a Zodiac. You can see it's pretty simple. The Zodiacs are very stable. He just gets in and he sits down. So, as long as you can take one or two steps, it is pretty easy to get in and out. We loved getting to know our expedition team. If you go down and if you're two people and you sit at a table full of four, it is very likely that you will have two expedition people sitting you with that night for dinner, and you can learn all about, you can ask them questions about what we saw or what we did today. It's just a wonderful camaraderie that you have with this whole expedition team, and getting to know their area of expertise, how they became so passionate about the planet, or their particular area of expertise, whether it be whales or birds or whatever. It's so, look at these pictures. This is a gal that had never been on an expedition cruise, and we're just having the time of our lives on this cruise. I really do recommend it. And it was like, this is the company that we are going to Antarctica with to bring our group in 26 and to promote in 27. So here's the two itineraries that we have for you. The first one is across the Antarctic Circle, and that is on March 12th of 2027. And here's a look at your journey. Yeah, February 28th, 2027. And you're going to be going from Ushuaia all the way down to the South Shetland Islands, through this area, and then across the Antarctic Circle. That is conditions pending, but this is a pretty good ship at doing that. So I know that that's going to be one of their priorities, so that we can say we crossed the Antarctic Circle. It's kind of ambiguous on purpose as to what you do, because the weather and the sea conditions are going to determine what your activities are for every day. But I can tell you, no matter what it is, the expedition teams are experts. They understand weather, they understand charts, they understand seas. They're going to get you in that destination in the best way that you can to have the most amazing experience. That one is on the Greg Mortimer ship. I showed you slides of that so you can kind of get an idea of what the ship looks like. Again, it's a purpose-built ship. We are holding group allocation in the categories A, B, and C. They are all of similar size and design. It's just the location on the ship. And they're about 224 to 301 square feet combined with the balcony. So it's really that balcony that kind of makes the difference in the size. The superior balcony suite does have a bed that faces the balcony, and some of these are handicapped accessible. But you can see that to really enjoy this cruise, you would need to be able to get in and out of a Zodiac. So you would need to be somewhat ambulatory or kind of maybe just stay on the ship. But they do have a fully accessible bathroom on the ship. There is the junior suite, which is a 2-room suite. You can see in this picture, this is just the bedroom portion, but it is divided into a living area and a sleeping area. And then there's the captain's suite, again, a two-bedroom area there. Here's a look at the deck plan of the Greg Mortimer. You can kind of see how the rooms are laid out and how compact it is and cozy it is. Really is a great opportunity for you to get to know your fellow passengers. This deck here, deck 5, is where the lecturers and the galley here, so that's the dining room there. And then up on the top is that observation lounge and bar, which is a great place to hang out in the evenings and look for whales and spot other scenery. So here's the pricing.
Plenty of daylight to do that this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we were in the Arctic, we stayed up till 2 a.m. one night looking at whales. I mean, this is amazing. So here's our pricing. This is the great thing is we have negotiated some really great pricing exclusively for people who book through our agency. Of course, I'm showing you the price and the savings compared to Aurora Direct. It is amazing. We will hold these cabins until August 1st. And after that, the pricing will still be good, but the cabins are subject to availability. So if you're interested in booking this and want to make sure you lock in the category of your choice, you need to give us a call and get booked by August 1st. We're also going to have a $250 per person onboard credit it's our webinar special. Again, you need to be booked by the 31st to get that webinar special. This is our other cruise. This is March 9th of 2027, so March 29th. It is round trip Ushuaia. It's on the Douglas Mawson. And this one includes the Falkland Islands. Remember, I told you that's a great place to see penguins, and South Georgia. That's one of the places where you see those massive amounts of penguins. I believe it's millions of penguins that go ashore there to mate and raise their chicks. Then we'll go.
Yeah, go
If
ahead.
I
Go
can
ahead.
just add, South Georgia is where you have the opportunity to see the king penguins as well.
Yes.
So you won't find the kings on the peninsula, but you will find them in South Georgia, and that's a
South
real
Georgia.
highlight for some people.
And yes, they're beautiful. And actually, the Falklands have a few small colonies of king penguins. They must have gotten blown off course from South Georgia and ended up in the Falklands, I think. But anyway, then you will go down to the peninsula and do sort of the red. This is a longer cruise, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. You have Ushuaia, you cross sort of the Drake Passage, but you go to the Falklands, and then you go down South Georgia, Antarctic Peninsula, and then back to Ushuaia. That is on the Douglas Mawson ship, which is the brand new ship. Again, it has that Ulstein X bow to cut through the water. Again, custom built polar class ship, amazing experience on this ship. Again, we have the category A, B, and C locked in. You can see the rooms. This is actually, a CGI representation of it, but the rooms are very similar on both ships. And again, they have a superior balcony, the junior suite, the captain's suite. Here's a look at the deck plan. Just a few rooms are laid out a little bit differently on this ship, but they're all pretty much the same ship. And here's a look at the pricing for that. Now, this is your pricing, again, per person based on double occupancy. Call us. They do have some special pricing for single occupancy. And we do, again, have pricing for the suites and the larger cabins. Again, this inventory is held exclusively for our guests to book into until August 1st. And after that, we still have pricing, but it's based on availability. We have the webinar special, the $250 per person onboard credit. And what can you spend that on? Well, you get beer and wine with meals. But outside that time, it is extra. And I'll go over that in just a second. But take a look at those prices again. You can see it's a huge savings over booking with Aurora Direct. And again, all these things are included, your transfers, your hotel accommodations, beer, house wine, soft drinks are included. They have a couple of parties, events. Again, those educational lectures, your jacket, your muck boots, your Wi-Fi, all that stuff is included. Additional costs that you would have would be your cost of getting to Ushuaia. And we suggest that you fly to Buenos Aires and do a 1 or 2 night layover there, and then buy an inexpensive flight from Buenos Aires straight to Ushuaia. And you do have that one overnight stay in Ushuaia before that is included already. That hotel stay is already included in the price of your cruise. The kayaking and snorkeling are at an extra charge. And then you can use that onboard credit but to purchase your beverages outside of meal times. They're very reasonably priced. No need to have a drinks package because they're all priced very reasonably. And they also have a massage therapist on board the ship. So if you're feeling a little achy, that's something else you can use that for. I also just want to go over this really quickly, the logistics of getting to Ushuaia. There are some direct flights from JFK to Buenos Aires. There's Dallas to Buenos Aires, Miami, Phoenix. You make a connection in Dallas or Houston. Approximate pricing. This is based on 2022 numbers and economy, or excuse me, 2025 numbers and economy. But a 4-star hotel in Buenos Aires is going to run you $200 to $400. A brand name airport hotel like the Holiday Inn is going to be about $200 a night. So depending on where you wanted to stay. And then these are approximate prices depending on time of day and class of service to go from EZE, or you might find a better routing through the AEP, which is the domestic airport. So, but you're already spending the night in Buenos Aires, so it doesn't matter which airport you go back to. It's very easy. And then if you want to do an extra night in Ushuaia, pricing starts at $285 for hotel only, and then they have another package that includes a trip to Tierra del Fuego National Park, and so that's a little bit different pricing. And then, you can fly. There are some airports you can fly directly to Ushuaia, make a connection in Buenos Aires, all on one ticket. If you can do it from Miami, I think JFK might still have it, but I know Miami has it. You just do the single ticket, and it's a little bit more, it's about the same as if you did separate tickets. So if you wanted to just have a contiguous flight, you could do that. So we want to get you booked for this. We have the best selection of cabins. We have the best pricing. We've locked in exclusive savings due to our strong relationship with Aurora. So call me. I'll get your full profile information. I'll get a room on hold for you. I'll send you the quote. You'll be able to take a look at it, review it, look at all the details. And then within 7 days, a $2,500 deposit is due. That is a non-refundable deposit. So make sure that you want to do something with Aurora Expeditions. If you give them enough notice and they have some flexibility, they will allow you possibly to move it to another Aurora Expeditions at their sole discretion, but it is non-refundable. But the best part is they don't make you pay in full till 90 days. So you put down that deposit, you don't have to pay in full. There's other expedition companies that require, and they have big ships, and they require you to pay a year in advance, not Aurora, just 90 days before. The other thing that's required is a comprehensive evacuation and emergency medical plan. Aurora does not sell one. We do not sell one that meets the requirements for the Arctic, but I can refer you to a third-party seller, or you can even visit your local insurance agency or call them up and get an emergency evacuation plan. I've priced them out. They range anywhere from $75 to $300 per person. They're not that expensive, but it is something that's required, and you do need to show proof that you have that. And you can see, with this being such a remote part of the world, why that would be so important. They do have a doctor on board the ship, but you want to make sure that you have that plan in place just in case, something dramatic happens. And in April or May of 2026, depending on which itinerary you choose, we can add your air and any of your pre-cruise hotel, and I can help you with that. Aurora does not have an air program, but I have several suppliers that we work with, or I can just direct you, hey, look, this airline has the best price. You can book directly with them. So if you've seen all this and you like it and you are excited and you want to go next year instead of waiting till 2027, we have one more space on our 2026 Greg Mortimer cruise. It's February 21st to March 5th. It's the Across the Antarctic Circle. So we have one more cabin, so 2 people. And we have a special promotion. We have 10% off. So it would be $18,995 per person, rather than the $20,995 that is the current price directly through Aurora. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you part of our group. We have about 20 people going, and we'd love to have a couple more. If you really want to do something crazy, they have the Northwest Passage cruise that goes from Nook to Nome, and Steve and I are crazy enough that we are doing this in August and September. They also have a shorter version it's a little bit less expensive, but that only goes to Cambridge Bay. We're doing the full Nook to Nome because it's just going to be such an amazing experience. We do a lot of other escorted groups and cruises. I'm going to go through these really quickly. If you don't think an expedition is right for you for Antarctica, but you want to do scenic sailing, I do have group prices and availability for some other cruise lines that do just the scenic sailing cruises. If you are interested in a solar eclipse cruise, I have got Holland America and Celebrity Cruises, solar eclipse cruises next August of 2026. If you're also wanting to spend, maybe go see Alaska, but not quite do an expedition, we have a long Holland America 28 night. We also do traditional cruising with Holland America Scandinavian capitals. We do river cruises. We've got Bordeaux. We have got Gems of Southeast Europe, which is Budapest and Bucharest. We have the Romantic Rhine. 2 dates in August are available. And then spring of 27, we're doing the Colombian Snake River cruises with American Cruise Lines. And if you want to do some more of a, traditional cruise, but on a smaller ship, we've got Windstar and Azamar during the Mediterranean. I'm so sorry. Steve, why don't you take this slide real quick?
You want me to present, huh? Well, anyway, so we talked about showed you a little bit there about our 23 trip to Svalbard. We're just rolling this out now. We're going to take a group there in June of 27, Svalbard Odyssey. It'll be 12 days. You'll get all the way, hopefully we'll get all the way to 80 degrees north or 81 degrees north. You get up there pretty far. We'll be escorting that group, and so we'll have 12 days in June of 27 where we're going to go to Svalbard again. We'll have a webinar on that coming up next week. If you're interested, you can sign up for that as well.
Okay, I have one more video for you.
So that's why Aurora Expeditions has always treated those who come on the voyage as individuals. They're not group travel voyages. These are voyages of like-minded people travelling together and exploring in their own individual way.
All right. Well, I would love for you to give me a call, and I can do a complete quote for you on this. Or any other Antarctic voyage with Aurora Expeditions. We've got thousands of dollars of savings per person with our low group rate. We have a low price guarantee. And again, we have that webinar special. You got to be booked by July 31st, and you'll get that $250 onboard credit. And plus, you will get all of our great concierge service and personalized consultations. Steve, did we get any questions in the chat box?
Nope, not this time. We're clean.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Again, here is all of our
See if there's any
contact
questions here.
information. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on. So thank you so much for coming to this presentation. Or if you're watching the recording, we hope you'll reach out to us before the end of the month so you can take advantage of all the wonderful specials that we have. Here's all of our contact information. We'd love to help you just really take this leap or this plunge into the polar expedition space. It's something that is truly incredible and remarkable. And again, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Sam from Aurora, thanks for joining us too.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
it's
you,
my
Sam. We
pleasure.
appreciate you being here. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thanks, guys.